Hey, good morning, everybody. I was sitting out here this morning, trying to get some fresh air, and something kind of came on my mind, and I thought I'd just share it with you guys. I was kind of thinking a little bit about the state of the world and the culture, and some of the hot topics in our culture prior to the whole COVID thing, and kind of how things are now, and how all that relates to how we treat each other. And this is more or less the way my mind works. It kind of one thing piggybacks onto another thing and goes down one rabbit trail, which springs into about five others, and they all get tangled up together. Uh, and so here I am, probably not making a lot of sense, but hopefully at least being mildly entertaining. But anyways, so how do I want to put this? There This is the trouble with not having a very highly edited video. Sometimes I just sit there with my mouth open and look kind of foolish, but I swear I am trying to say something intelligible. I want to have a brief discussion. I guess it would be more of a monologue, clearly, but about the way that we treat each other and the way that we see each other and who we are as people. And of course, this is going to be coming from my perspective, my worldview. Um, I think a lot of people in our society and in the world, um, they look at everything around them as if it's permanent, as if this is what life is. And it's really hard not to do that. You know, it's not hard not to not to invest yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually in your job and in your your finances and your house and your world. Like, I've got my Jeep back there, and I like that Jeep way more than I should. And I know it's ugly. I paid $4,000 for it, but I put so much dang work into it. Especially now with this whole COVID thing, and my buddy Preston has helped. Which, thank you, by the way, Preston, if you're watching this. Not like I haven't said thank you about 50 times, but I mean, I replaced the radiator, the all kinds of tubes, the power steering pump, the tie rod ends, and the tie rods in the bottom, and the water pump, the thermostat. I mean, this isn't a Jeep how to fix a Jeep video, so I'm not gonna go on. But needless to say, I've put hours into it. But it's not a it's not a permanent thing, and I think we need to be reminded of that sometimes. I need to be reminded of that sometimes. Um, there's that saying about how you can't take it with you when you die, and clearly that's obvious, and we all know that to some degree. But what I think we lose track of is the impermanence of the world around us and the permanence of the people around us. C.S. Lewis once said, "I've never met an immortal man." I'm sorry, I misquoted that. C.S. Lewis once said, "I've never met a mortal man." C.S. Lewis, if you don't know who he is, he was a devout Christian um, and a fantastic author. He wrote the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe series. So you probably have heard of that at least. But he wrote other things too. But that's the Christian worldview: is that people are not mortal. Yes, we live. Yes, we die. But that's not the end of it. What is mortal is everything around us. Countries are mortal. Businesses are mortal. Apple is mortal. Google is mortal. Facebook is mortal. The United States of America is mortal. So is Russia. So is China. I know these things outlive most of us, but they will absolutely die. There's no question about it in my mind. And anybody who is a Christian well, if they think about it for, a minute, they'll they'll agree. That's the things around us, the entities around us, they are truly what is mortal. They are truly the things to die. And that the people around us, they are the immortal ones. Well, I feel like I'm saying that word wrong. But the reason I was thinking about it this morning how is that it's important to have this perspective because it helps us align how we treat the people around us. Do we treat the people around us like they're a product? Do we treat the people around us like they have value? Sure, most of us do, our friends and our family, but what about those people we disagree with? It's hard, isn't it? It's hard for me. So it's a bit of a heart check for me. And I think it's important for me to be transparent with my friends and family, and apparently with strangers on the internet. Sorry about the bounciness. I'm just holding my phone in my hand. But yeah, I think it's hard for me, and I think it's hard for us naturally. There's a lot of division in our culture, especially prior to COVID. There's been less of that lately because everyone's been focused on the whole COVID thing. But prior to this, there was the whole LGBTQ thing. If a person was born a man and they want to be identify as a woman, should you call that person a woman? If you do, then you're denying biology. If you don't, then you're hateful. And there's all like, it's easy to go down the rabbit trails of politics and culture and find a plethora of opportunities to be divided on that topic, and on any such related topic. I would say let's come back down to the foundational things. That person, whoever they may be, if they are a person who feels they need to change their gender or want to change their gender or were born with the wrong gender because, well, for whatever reason, if they're a person who is gay, if they are a person who, or let's take it on the other end of the spectrum, maybe they're a person who was born in, in a weird part of the country and they're kind of backwoods and they have some backwoods beliefs, and they think certain people are better than other people. Morning, guys. You're gonna be in a YouTube video for about 5 seconds. Hi. Or they have some backwoods beliefs, then I'm sorry about that. Kind of winging it here. But anyways, my point being, other end of the spectrum, they have backwoods beliefs. Maybe they're racist. Maybe they are. Maybe they just plain are. Maybe they're just white folks who think that white people are, better than sliced bread, and that's the way it is. Dag nabbit, and that. Or maybe maybe they're people of a different political opinion. I tend to lean towards the side of, small governments are better, less regulations are better. But those people who disagree with me, like, how do we treat them? Do we treat them? Do we come back to the foundational thing that these people, regardless of how of who they are, regardless of whether we agree with them or not, regardless of whether we even understand their position, because let's face it, if it's not our position, it's really a hard position to understand. We have a hard time understanding our own position on things, let alone someone who we disagree with. So let's be a little honest regarding that. But do we come back to the foundational belief that these people have great value simply for being human beings, and that they are to be treated with dignity and respect and care and love? I'm not saying you need to buy them a Valentine's card. That's not the kind of love I'm talking about. But like the kind of love that you show a stranger who drops their groceries on the ground. You do a loving thing for them by helping them out. You act good to them. You give them dignity. So, like I said, this was a heart check for me. This isn't always the first place my mind goes when I come across somebody that I disagree with or don't understand, or maybe I'm small-minded and their beliefs, frighten me on some level that, maybe I'm not fully aware of. Um, but this is what my worldview calls me to. This is what my faith calls me to. This is what Jesus calls me to. I'm a Christian. That people are born with, because we're human beings, we're created by God, created in His image. We are born with inalienable human rights. We are born with intrinsic value. We are valuable not because of anything. Let me rephrase that. You are valuable to me, not because of anything you can do for me, but because of who you are. Purity that. That is how I should be treating you. And I'm not good at that. But I want to be. And I think anybody who is a Christian wants to be good at that. And I think anybody who's a Christian and honest will say they're not great at that. But hopefully we're all getting better. So that's kind of what I was thinking about this morning. And if this is interesting to you, I'd love to hear from you guys on this, especially this, actually, because I think this is a great conversation for a great opportunity for dialogue. But so are you a Christian? And if you are, is this something you agree with? Do you see it my way, or am I wrong? And if you're not a Christian, that's fine. This isn't about converting you or anything like that. But how do you see people? And why do you see them that way? How do you want to treat people, and why do you want to treat people that way? Is there some deep meaning behind to it? Some deep understanding? Or is it simply kind of a social contract thing for you? Or in your worldview, is it just a social contract that we're all nice to each other so that we can all be a little less miserable before we die? Or is there something deeper to it than that? I have really good friends who are not Christians, so this isn't about me trying to proselytize so much. I mean, my best friend, the best man at my wedding, my oldest friend, Jordan, he's not a Christian. I think he's coming around a little bit to there being some kind of God that exists, but definitely hasn't landed on Jesus, as far as I know. But anyways, I mention him just because I guess I'm pulling my credibility card that I can be friends with people who aren't Christians, and I don't, I basically want you to feel welcome to post an opinion that's different than what you think mine might be, because I'd really love to hear it. I'm genuinely curious to know how people think, but I also wanted to share what I think, and I think, or it's my belief that even if this isn't, even if you're not a person of faith, if you don't share my worldview, that this is still how we should be treating people. That we should be treating people that we agree with and disagree with. The people that are our friends and the people that, they might be our adversaries, with dignity, with compassion, with respect, in a truthful way, treating them with truth, yeah. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. I haven't had my coffee yet, so I'm sorry if actually that's more or less not true. I've had a Diet Coke. So I've had a little bit of caffeine, so I guess I don't have any great excuse for not being very articulate this morning, but it's still dang early in the morning. It's like 6:30 here, and I've been up for like 2 hours already. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. If you're not a member of the channel, I invite you to subscribe and click the little notification button. I try to post videos pretty regularly. I do political and advice stuff, and I was going to say political and cultural stuff, and then I have an advice playlist as well. And yeah, just really appreciate everybody who looks at these videos, and I love making them, and love having small little opportunities to put hopefully a little bit of positivity out there in the world. Wish you all the best, and hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.